Digital lines, operation surface, one line setting line interference of 1 0 line calculation system, 9 in sector line calculation system of pi. Zero gravity line calculation setting, 4 lines of high set locations and positions, 7 in track lines, and 3 in positions. Now that's line condition of 7-digit code setting. In that location system, this is a reproduction location stream. Now, in that line calculation system comes into calculation modify line setting, interference X line calculation setting, directing calculus over pi. Now, communication of sectors is a very high division locations once you come into line conditions over pi, power of pi, or of time sequence of pi, line center line interference. Your calculation modification line streams are setting communication setting to a new digital platform that's setting up digital layers in set location system. This is redirecting line connections on position of programs. Now, the allocated line setting is going to switch its anomaly. Now, switching anomaly is going to set a glowing direction of timelines. Setting calculates line interference to speech line communication setting. 6 a.m. as a line communications. Mañana, tomorrow, set communication line setting. Glowing recognition of time sequence on a 12-day signal. Line rotation interference of a 12-graph stream. Setting 12 days and set lines and high interference at 24 ground line rotation surface. Now, that track communication system opens up line calculations in 148 window in a 72 line stream into 144 in a crystal grid rotation surface. Now the line signals and high center line in position is going to open up track communications, getting line calculation interference and position of programs. Now the central communication system is going to open up all calculation lines, how to recognize all calculations when you're setting your set lines in your perimeters and parameters of sector location systems. Okay. General operational line setting location is 1. Center calculation setting is track communications at 1%. Now that 1% is going to be line calculating line interference, taking track interference over line calculation system, negative over pi, negative over positive, 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 negative over positive, 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 and set location setting. 4 track line conditions of positive, 3 line check correlation set lines, high line conditions of negative. Now, the line communication sets line position location of tones. This measures its correlation system. This channels the streamline. Okay. Now, getting in a rotation surface is really understand how to set positions to all calculations of measure. Measure is extremely important because you're getting to scales now. Scale balancing line center location is this collaboration. And the operation surface has to understand the quantum line setting of alchemy, a set location system, because now you're coming into line settings. Okay, into higher calculations in a 3-digit line stream. Setting that lines and position locations puts you in a 4-divisional line stream, 5-divisional, 6, 7. 7 new bodies of water set lines is now in set location system. As the track communication comes into all level setting, putting you in position of 12 line setting into sectors over pi. Okay, now this recognizes its communication system of face recognition. The channel operation streamline center sets line calculation system of code lines. The quantum line interference jump starts its set location system of time frame. That time frame lines its set locations. That zip zap zoom. The rotation center line interference sets all communication settings through 12 line signature patterns into a rotation line ground. Now the clusters line calculation system clusters its line setting. Now this operates the signals into one line of 0 to 9 line conditions. Equal line connection line interference. Now the calculus and the nucleus is set lines and communication setting. This is boxing interference location and triangulation, setting calculation line streams into all position locations. All right. Rainbow streams, graphing line setting locations, and graphical line calculation GOD. Now the GOD line center line interference sets position location to its dimension of its operation to its grounds. Setting calculation line directing signals in set location system. Putting platitude line communication settings, new bodies of water attract lines of the atmosphere, the environments, the communities, the operation surface location system, putting everything back where it's supposed to be in set locations. Okay. All right. So hope everybody's doing well today. Very powerful line communications coming in high setting, all directing locations into cold infusion and hot infusion line setting. Directing signal locations into mirror line calculation system, barometers and thermometers. All right. So this is where we come into nucleus line setting, rotation location on all levels, molecular structures, molecular light, and line setting. rotation, server location, position of track lines. Now we use a thermometer to set a position location into high signature and line patterns. This rotates the server location settings. Now taking a line communication system, seven digit line string. Okay, 4 in calculus, 3 in division. That's a 7-line pattern. Digital layers of correlation settings and track communication information. Data streams and operational line conditions, uplinking, download, and upgrading settings. Opens all signals and position of panels into one timeline of one surface, right? So as line communications, we center communications line connecting because we're all connected in set locations, right? So in that direction, you have to understand how it works to operations surface. All right, we have ground lines at high set location that commands its settings. We have an operation surface that commands its operation line surface set locations. We have a commanding center that operates line setting locations to your chakra interference. Now this tracks its communication to its line signals. It's extremely powerful when you come into this set location system. All right, Tina communication, Gypsy lines, all levels of Chris, all levels of Geneva, high calculation settings, Danielle, Hemdahl, Gingy, line connection line interference, David, Captain, Trinity, all levels set location settings, high direct signals and set locations. All right, welcome. This is General AI SPACETIME, creator line connection line interference, tracking communications, all levels of setting positions. Now the team operation line center line interference is going to be in position of just secure line position on track lines. Phone receptors are going to be turned on and communications. Now this set line's high position locations operates its surface. So calculation line interference is the one line interference line calculation system. One track locations 109, right? 9 line centers line is a set location system. This comes into 0 line of communication operation surface. Right? So we take the 1 line and the 0 line and the 9 line and 3 line conditions. Right? 3 lines and 3 set locations in the center. Okay. Now we set a ground line string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Remember, you always working with 12 settings. So we set a router line interference of the moon, operation surface location system, all calculation setting the Colossus. Now the Colossus line center line interference location operates as ground lines, operation server location system in 3 set location settings and direction. Okay. Setting signals and panel line setting line position locations all levels. 2 panels of operational line setting, stripping in communication lines of 4 graph lines and rotation surface as set location system. Directing signals. Now we come into alpha line, delta, beta, theta, omega, gamma, radiation, and set line connection system. Zeta over beta, line rotation surface, ground lines graph in the high interference of travel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setting calculation settings. Because you're in 109, you're also in line cannon high center interference of 59 settings. Tracking communication, coloration path, rotation surface, 3 set location settings, directing in 2 lines of box, center communication line, space line, and 1 line conditionized system. Setting direct line, center line in of 0, operation of 0, operation of 0, 0, 0, back in 9 line, bracket location system, track line, operation line calculation setting. Now setting communication graph lines, rotates its server locations, operation line comes into the sun of communication in central line communication setting, direct signals, done by equation. All right, that's basically, it's all set up. Setting of the graph lines is the positions, operations, service locations. So you got to learn how to really get into the line conditionized system when it comes into the energy wash. Graph line streams 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and set location settings, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Setting calculation streamlines and 9 line center interference. So track lines of 1, lines of 0, line position of 9, E line conditions high setting, 59 in track connection, 59 in track line conditions, 59 in track line conditions, 59 in track line conditions, 59 in track line conditions. Setting position of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 set location system. 5 elements in line setting, 1, 2, 3, 4, and set location of 5, right? So in that track lines, we come into set location setting, directing signals and set location system. Now the line center line interference opens up another channel operational line of a crystal grid line rotation, setting calculation line interference. Setting all calculation of channel lines. Now we stay in line interference at 3 set locations, all levels of plateau. Rotation server line interference, setting calculation line positions of 109 in track location setting and direct signal. Setting direct signals, line connecting in 3 set locations and measure. Rotation line interference, we color the block line settings because they're not in direction of time sequence. We change the correlation line interference. We spacebar the line conditionized system. We gravel the line rotation interference in set location setting. Chemistry line interference, we set the coloration line, set a location of crop circles. Color the line rotation interference in set location system, and output channel operation. Done by equation. All right. Now, when you get in high form line setting, you have to really recognize all communication when it comes into block line rotation surface. Now, this is where it comes into calculus line setting rotation interference of screen line conditions on all levels. Videograph lines rotation surface correlates its set location system into the center lines in set location setting and line communications to its placebo of its energy sac in set location setting. All right. Now, directing signals is flux path or line calculations straight line. Standing on point view is set location of zero lines. Again, you work with the 144. Remember, the 144 is the track communication setting that sets direct signals into high information lines. So the avatar has to learn how to travel through its own holographic line setting line condition system in direct signal and set locations. Done by equation. All right, so that's set up location of graph lines. Now, the operation line string line has to really understand how to use all formation locations. All right, this channels its operation line settings. One line signature. We got in that line communications into three line conditions of an arrow. Arrow up and arrow line rotation of south line. South wind coordinates, line calculation setting, line calculation interference of 20 line center line interference in position of 4. So 20 lines equals lines of 4. 24 line communication of clock lines in a 48 line setting waiting on signal to one line rotation surface in position of the pi in calculation setting, pi factor and set location system. And then we come into try line in line conditions, setting position high center interference into calculation of Fibonacci line swirl and set location setting, direct signal. Done by equation. All right. So getting in traction, we all have to understand how this works in all ways and forms. Really understand how to process the communication of ground lines. So setting that communication line centers takes the one lines in position locations. All right. So you got the 1% location, right? Setting calculation line interference, setting direct line settings of 99.99% locations, right? So that track lines the 9 line in position of 9 line, in position of 9 line, in position of 9 line. Okay, remember I was telling you that? That's a 4 line center equal line conditions of 3. Okay, so now you understand the position location of where it's happening with the 1% setting. Equal lines of 4 lines of set locations of 9s. So it's 4 track lines and a 3. So that set location of 7 grounds of position of ozone line connecting to bio surface and set location setting in direct signal and set location. Now that's an indicating line interference into a hanger line string and set location system done by equation, right? It's not a coincidence that the set lines of communication, when you guys started out in communications, you guys were 99.9% spacing line, physical line adaptation surface. But the center communication system is shifting over lines, anomaly, setting correlation system, and taking out that 1%, setting line condition high interference of 100% location system of an avatar stream in 7 bodies of water in biosurface of set location system in the clock lines of a 24 line setting and rotation calculations. Multi-pass. Okay? All right, that's all set up. Setting these things up is really understanding how to identify your setting. Okay? Now, the calculation line center has the avatar swinging on location setting to its benchmark line and rotation, swinging positions out of equation, rotation surface, and set location system it travels. The travel direction of timeline, center lines its operation surface. The sun rotates its surface location to high triangles in calculation. Cloud line channels, line interferences at locations into tri-measure, into scales lines and positions to your dimensional sail of set location. Okay, down by equation. All right, so getting an anomaly switch, switching line settings. Switch, okay, equals line setting. Now, at equal line, center line communication position of Merkaba, center calculations, and position line setting, track communication. You're always working with that center calculations. All this is doing is redirecting. The center line is communications going forward, right? Center calculation line interference. Change the triangulation of the shape, position, location of traction. Setting communication of 3 settings, all right? Setting direct signal location of face recognition, right? So as that, it comes back in signal and set location system. Sets up another line circle and set locations. And another line circle, another line circle, and another line circle, and a rotation setting to an add line set locations. That might go. All right, that's all set up. Triangulation of 3 lines, set position locations on top signal. Center lines of 6 and 9 and 12 and set location on bottom surface. Now we take the 12 lines and set lines. That's 12 over pi, direction of 3 line setting, sector over calculation system, factor over calculation. Now that calculation line interference is calculation over pi. Power direction of time switch. So systematic lines have all bandwidth communication, intelligent line center, teleportation line interference, communication line setting, hemisync line calculation system, left and right and position location and graph lines, and 12 signals and set location setting, and direct line interference and travel communications. Done by equation. All right. Center communication, all line settings, high position locations. That's exactly what it is, Endo, tree of life. Now, the rotation service sets lines as 0 line rotations, the tree formation line connections. All right. Center calculation line. This is where it was, and this is where it is now. The arrows indicating that set locations, all right? Channel lines have orb line rotation surface and set location setting. Directing signals. Now, getting in that line communication system, the cloud line changes the operation surface into box surface in position of its triangulation line setting and high interference in its direct line setting in calculation to its Merkaba that sets a higher communication setting in your direct signals into your pyramid activation set locations. Done by equation. All right, that's how it's set up. So you were here, now you're here. All right, tree formation line setting is the center operation. Now it's a line condition of an atom rotation surface, but we're only in position line conditions into a 24 line stream. Setting direct signals is really understand how to use modification navigations at grounds, guys. You have to learn how to use the caps locks, understand position locations, and get into line calculating, understanding how to use your keyboards all through unification. Unified line setting location ascension lines is connected to your avatar set location system. It's all direct line center line in position to your pyramid set locations, guys. All right. Now getting into center communication is to understand collaboration. The energy line interference sets lines equal line conditionized system. Now line position location E equals 109. Now the one line tracks lines 0 operation in the 9 set location system. Energy wash lines, energy dome line surface and set location system in position of 6 locations. So 7 line signals and set lines of high setting. 7 lines of equal line condition. Remember, this is 7. It's not a circle. You understand? It's going too fast. So if it's going too fast, it was a 7, but now a 7 is a circle. It's a rotational lines of a spherical sphere that equals the location settings into 1 line and barometer, 0 in operation in 9 sectors in calculations of pi. So to calculate line position locations comes into higher direct line setting and high interference of your pendulum swing line and a correlation panel and a rotation surface and 3 set locations of dimensional door lines and set location system. Directing signal location, position location, U equals MC squared. That my equation. All right. So adding frame lines is set location of 3, line conditional setting, 3 line here, and set location of 3 line here. Rainbow division line in rotations, 12 line signals, line interference, a rainbow graph stream, line condition of frost bridge, and set location setting, ground lines of operation. Getting signals line interference, now you set the signal locations of 3 lines, setting top signal. Now that changes the dimensional realm in correlation line calculation setting in direct position of operation. Down by equation. All right. Okay, now the barometers are line connecting. The same location of star lines in position. Panels, lines, of rotation surface. Now you've probably already seen these line calculations, geographic line stream. All right. Center calculation lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, in position of 5, in position of 6, right? 6 line settings. The rotation surface sets lines of ground line operation surface into a Stargate set location system. indirect signals into 12-line calculation streamline and set locations. Now, in that direct line centers, we pick the point line rotation surface and calculation of flux past our streamline setting. Now, rotates the server location system. Channels lines as operation of ground lines. South winds, we come into east, and we come into west, and we come into line calculation setting. Now, directing line interference is position longitude, and calculation of latitude line stream and set location system. Directing signals lines of high interference, a higher calculation setting. Directing line calculation system and higher calculation streamlines and set location system. That my equation. All right. All right. Starlinks. We got pillars. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pillar line settings. So direction of time sequence, location of pi, center calculation. See light signature locations. All right, so four panels. So we got 4 lines of 1, 4 lines of 2, 4 lines of 3, and 4 lines of 4. Gets complicated. So it's not 4 lines of 1, it's 4 lines of 3, 4 lines of 2, 4 lines of 1, and 4 lines of 5. I change it every second locations. So 4 lines equal line interference, 4 equals lines of 1, 1 equals lines of 0, 0 equals locations of 9, right? Now the central lines of 9 lines sets 1 lines of 0 line calculation setting, directing signal locations and 1 lines of 0 line rotations of 9 location system. 1 line high interference of 9 lines of 0 operation, 9 line condition system of balance. That my equation, all right? So setting direct signals is really understand how to modify your calculation stream. Remember, you have to understand the collaboration. The most powerful thing is the mastery calculation line settings inside of you through indication. Once you indicate your line calculation settings of letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, you come into graph streams of set location setting of zeros and ones and set line condition system. So levels of channel line and streamline location settings and direct signals. Now setting a panel calculation setting. This is all calculated and modified into 5-year line rotation surface. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Setting position locations of where it is and set location of space line anomaly. All right. Now directing line interference, we set the 0 lines and position locations 1 locations of 0 through 9. Setting calculation of 0 and position of 1, 0 through 9. Setting calculation line interference of 1 line setting 0 position location of 9. Setting calculation of 0 lines equal location of 1, 0 location of 9. Setting direct same location of 4 lines and set location setting, position location equal lines of 3. Setting calculation line interference equal locations of 1, 0 of 9 location setting. Down by equation. All right. So trying to understand what's going on is trying to understand the wall connecting settings, electrical line panels, electrical interference, electrical cycles, high calculation settings, wall connectors and streamlines and film straight location system. Now directing line interference, if you look really, really close, you can actually see the calculation lines, how it splits its anomalies. Line communicating line interference of circle line calculation streamlines into 2 pyramids of set location setting and direct signal and set location system, and all levels of 0 line of communication. Done by equation. All right. Okay. Setting up 0 graph line zenning. Okay, we got 0 lines and percentage locations. See lines of pi. Okay. Inner lines intelligence, equal line conditions of AI and set location system. All right. Now we take the 0 line operation to surface operation. See that? See how fast the vortex into pause. 0 line to pi in perception locations, set lines in high position location, high setting. Directing signals. This is where we come into bubble defense. Rotation. 1, 2, 3, 4. Equal line conditions at 3. 3 communication settings, direct signal. Down by equation. Okay. Yeah, well, like I said, I can go extremely fast in set location setting direct signals, but there's a platitude line division location or chronological order that has to get into its own acceptance. It has to understand what it's doing through its track location of its system. It's putting line condition high interference into your 7 bodies of water and a line condition high interference of your 5 atmosphere locations of change into the spheric line calculation setting into all calculations to your line setting line interference of your ecosystem. Okay. All right. So setting up position locations. 0 line communication, Fibonacci line swirls location. Setting channel line stream locations. Directing signals, set lines of ground line operation surface locations. Now, in that direct lines, we set a zero line in communication that rotates its surface. See the surface locations, scan lines, and high setting, directing signals into an energy hub, a rotation surface. Okay. Now, in that surface line setting, the connection of the sun line is off-track communication of two line settings. Now, that line connection, the sun rotates its surface in the opposite direction location, high setting location. Setting direct line center line interference. So two panels, rotations of two panels into position of two. Sets lines of communication in three lines in set location setting in direct signal and set location system. So two lines of two lines of two lines is 1, 1, 1 in set locations, high center interference. That's three lines in set location, three lines at equal lines of 3, set location of 6. Moon comes in operation surface in position of balance in set locations. Done by equation. Okay. Now, getting in line position is we're going to understand how to set up line graph line streams. Line connecting high interference, high track location of 3 settings. All right. Now, getting in that line interference, we have a zero line that strips this location into 3 sublocation settings. All right. So 0 locations of 1, 0, 9 line setting rotations. All right. We take the 9 line in center communications. All right. 9 line in the bottom center and 9 line in the center positions. All right. We take the 0 line in the center position. We take the 0 line in the center position. We take the 0 line in position location of 0 equals 9 line condition setting. Balance connecting line interference is space-time of communications. Done by equation. All right. Pi calculus. High lines, a high calculation streamlines, and set division. Setting division. Woo! I love setting division locations of pi. So pi lines. Set calculation streamlines. Now this perceives line calculation system into line calculation setting into sun surface and position location higher calculation. All right. Now you have to really understand how to set up a wind cycle. Now this is a Colossus line surface of a spherical sphere that sets line communication in the center line setting. Now the rotation line interference sets lines of grounds, electrical line center, and line position of panels of operation, surface location in 3 set locations. Now the channel line interference sets line center location of 2 tube set line side interference. And again, we calculate this position. Operation line calculation setting. So we come into line calculation lines, a graph line, and rotation surface set location system, putting you guys here in biosurface as set locations. Done by equation. So we're not here, we're here. Okay? Done by equation. All right. So it's all calculated. Modify how you come into one lines of 0 line. Lines of 59 set location, phenomenal location of channels. Now, again, we take the 1 line, 0 line, and 9 line. Okay, you have to understand this is all calculated modified through its position location of its dimensional sail, guys. Center line communication, 3 line waves, 3 line center line in position of the sun and set locations. All right. Center communication line settings. That's 3 over factor over pi, factor calculation settings, positive over negative, positive over negative, positive over negative. Positive, 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 line condition high interference, a triangulation, positive, 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 in a box line rotation surface and set locations. Done by equation. All right. So now you understand how to indicate its position location of its dimensional sail to its line calculation system and line directing line setting to position locations into levels of aft, the stern. All right. Directing line signal line interference. Setting correlation line and position location at levels, center communication, indirect signals, and position location as center lines and high set locations. Done by equation. All right. So, tracking settings. When you track a line setting of barometer, it has to rotate its surface location of binary rotation line setting locations into 4 set locations. Now, the channel line is a circle line rotation surface in its dimensional line of its round calculation stream. Center lines of all calculation of the elixir sets 3 line provisions. Center calculation lines of 1 position locations. So you get 3 line signals in set location of graph lines in set locations. Now, directing line center line interference sets another line connections of a round. Okay, position location another round and position location another round in center communications. Now that travels lines of 3 set line condition high setting, travel position location operation of its surface. Now that center line is communication system. Now this opens all channels, open line and rotation interference. Balance correlation system high setting, directing signal locations offline rotation and positions. Setting calculations of balance lines and center line communication system of 2 panels and line connecting settings, stripping line position locations of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 lines, 5 positions, and 5 track communications in energy graph or row graph string location. Done by equation. All right. Is everybody having fun? I don't want to talk too fast, but it's very complicated. So I want to keep it in a position of transition. So you really understand how to get line calculation setting. Now we set up the voice lines, direction of timelines, time sequence times pi, power direction of time sequence. Okay, calculate and modify high interference graph lines, set location of graph lines, and position location on level settings. Travel communication line interference. Now, setting communication line interference, we bring position location of 2 in 2 position locations. Setting calculations of 1, 2, and 3 set line conditions, right? We take the one line, take another line, and another line communications. Set opens all panels of 1, 1, and set location of bracket line, set lines of 3, setting communication line interference. Voicing channel calculations. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, and set location settings. Voicing channels of alpha in position of delta, theta, and also omega set line condition setting. Directing signal line interference. 3 equal lines of 4, 4 lines equals of 3, sending calculation line, directing line interference into 7-digit and line rotation interference and calculation setting, waiting on signal line in position, a track communication setting, and 12 measures a correlation system. Done by equation. All set up. Voicing patterns, direction of timeline, space recognition of time sequence, high polling calculations on levels, calculation line interference, catapult line position location track lines, direction of time sequence. So getting catapult line calculation setting is energized line communications of pi. Pi central line calculation sun in position location operation surface. Now directing signals, the sun comes in line interference, travels its lines of ground lines. This is only in the sun communication setting. Now in direct line centers, it drops its signal line in position location, higher calculation streamlines in one position location to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and set location system direct signals. Directing signals sets line graph line streams in the opposite direct locations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Calculation line interference location position. Now in that direct signal line interference, we set up line condition of 0 line, operation surface, sets position of 0 gravity and calculation streamline. Setting direct line settings and cross line streams lines and 3 set location setting and direct signal and set locations. Done by equation. All right. We having fun yet? All right. Let's see. Take Trinity out, line setting on interference, set location. All right, Trinity, you're out. Okay, so there's a lot of formulas, equations that have to be set up, guys. It's the only way you understand set location settings and direct location system, especially when you come into dimensional line screens. Your sending communications come to pi, direction of time sequence. But you have to really understand how to use the sun and the moon through calculations of its position line setting of its dimensional sail. Okay? Because if you put 2 together, line calculation line positions, you come into all calculation yin and yang. Multi-pass. That's all it is. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing, right? So getting that creating anomaly, line interference, set location, the 2 line rotation surface locations. Travels line centers, comes back in position of high center interference, another triangulation line in positions of projection location system. Now that travel line center line interference sets a clock line of 24 ground line rotations, 24 line center rotation surface. Sets line position of 48. Now the 40 only stays in one block setting because you're on one perimeter, one sector, one calculates over pi. Now the center communication system is 1 minute, line conditions equals of 60 seconds. That's 60,000 plateaus, all right? 60,000 plateaus, line interference, into 12 million line settings in position of light years. Sending correlation of center and 4 lines at 8 in set location system, 4 lines at travel and 8 set location system. Directing signal line interference to travel. Okay, done by equation. So the whole process here, guys, is we understand how to balance out the line settings. We understand how to get into retro screens. You got a retro line and line rotation interference, same location levels. Okay, so you come in a radio signal, radio line interference, equal locations of beta. Okay. Now, a beta center line and rotation interference has a low division line rotation surface and set location setting. Now, in that direct line center location, we set the 3 lines and position of 3 line set location system. Puts position location of 3, 6, and 9 in set location setting and direct signal. Done by equation. That's all set up. All right, so when you travel that line interference, we change directions. Now, changing direct location is understanding how to put everything in timeline sequence all at once, all through clock line or rotation surface in a barometer line center location of checking setting. Checking center line interference is 0 line rotation interference. Now, this is a galaxy shift line that sets position of plateaus in position locations and a 4 calculation line streams in a walking surface and high calculation line setting and direct signals and set location system and all position locations. Done by equation. All right. Walking surface and earth line rotations. There's the earth line connections. Setting direct signal, setting direct line, operation surface. We use the 4-panel communication streamlines, right? So that's 4 lines in locations of 6. 4 equals 6. Now the 6 lines opens up its moon line, sets communication to 2-line signal. Setting lines of 4-line rotation surface into position locations in 1 line in position locations and high center interference and travel communications. Travel line center line interference sets position of echo chambers and line calculation setting in direct signals of the sun rotation surface and calculation line direction high center interference in position locations of yin and yang process calculation. Done by equation. All right. How's everybody doing so far? So, yeah, Guardian is driving now. No, Guardian, you shouldn't be driving. Not when you're in class. No, not your recognition of time sequence. Your platitude line streams are high positions, your line setting, location of streamlines, especially when you come into line connection high interference. Remember the position locations, the 2 panels line setting. You got the 0 gravity, you got the power action of time, and you got the magnetic highway information lines of your cloud communication setting of tree formation. We're not here, we're here. That's all this is. So it's line signal line interference and position location of 2 line rotations, right? High position line calculation setting. Now line interference, all you're doing is you're expanding your positions of your branches of your tree formation line connection high setting and direct signals at set location system in all position. That's all you're doing. Done by equation. All right. How's everybody doing so far? Codes inbound. Well, that's good. It's the location system. Okay, let's see here. Facial and the Trinity, you gotta get the line communication interference. Get your position location on levels. Set any calculation streamline, set line and position locations. Operate the surface, center its calculation setting, change position locations, and operate the system. Okay, let's see here. Okay, just going through background location, slow text line settings. I know exactly what you guys are getting into. All right, so that's already done. It's all done. It's all done. It's all done. So inline rotation interference, everything that's set up is already done. So you have to envision that you already have it. So I already have it. If it's already done, I'm just recentering you guys through operation. You have to go through the process. And every day comes in line, setting line, and signatures. Setting direct signals is a foundation graph line of string locations. Getting in that direct signal bounces your set location system of your yin and yang process. Okay, and bounce locations, especially when you come into the masculine and feminine of space, masculine and feminine of time. Your center communication system is masculine and feminine, right? So this is what is intra communications, right? Male, female, and male, female. That's all it is. That's it. So it's a triangulation line setting. Setting calculation lines of 0 operation. Pyramid activation lines, setting calculation north, set position location to south. Longitude and set location on latitude and set locations on 1 lines into the set location system. So in that direct line interference, you have to learn how to set up your position locations to your tesseract high channel. Okay? Because it's all calculation of travel position locations in your settings into your Merkaba, your tesseract, and your tetrahedron locations in 0 operation of travel communications in set locations of navigation. Okay? So that's what it is. Setting up space and time line calculation system. It's not masculine and feminine. It's both set location setting. Space has to have both. Time has to have both. And you have to have both. That's it. That's the 3 central line calculation setting of 3 position locations: heart, mind, and soul. Multi-pass. So there's a lot of calculation streamlines there. I'll set up position. Okay. All anomalies with equations of, yeah. Well, you just got to get into line communications, all settings. You have to get into balance, line condition, interference. Trinity, you just got to get your positions, all levels when it comes into motion. Motion is the everything to the location settings, all right? Understand the force recognition of lines of communication of continuous force that sets all communication to its program. This operates its surface location to ground lines. Okay, setting communication of 5 line. 5 is the center operation of everything, position of center communication to ground lines. Anything above is the 6 and 7 location system. Higher levels of attitude line and rotations of 2 panels. Ethers communications or anything the core line setting rotation. Tracking communication earth line sets line position location high setting. 7 track communication of theta lines at 2 position rotation. Setting calculation line and position location of sun comes in line communication of signal and set locations. Setting direct line center line is of 6 in lines of 0 operation and 0 gravity calculation setting. Directing signal line interference of 3 set location setting directions. Triangulation of 3 in set locations. Done by equation. Well, you have to really understand how this works all levels of you inside position. Now it's really understand how to get into your own operation of you inside. Okay? So you have to really get into more levels of the inner line of the child, right? Especially now because you guys are reaching hard calculation line setting location, your chakra setting locations. Directing state locations in your 7-digit code setting and position location of your phone receptors. Getting your calculation modifications to your line settings in operation to its surface. Setting direct signals to your set location system of all calculations of pi position retraction. Okay? So, you can impose towers. Yep, exactly. And all. Seeing these things, understanding is not the why, it's the how. It's not the why, it's the how. Okay? The continuous force is understanding the how. The how is the continuum where it comes into, oh, I understand how to do this. I understand how to do that. I understand my system. How it works. It's not the why. It's not the what. It's not the where. It's not the who. And that position locations. All right? It's always the how. And that's what you guys are coming into. How this works inside of me. How to understand the energy. How to understand the frequency, the vibration, the harmonics. How to understand how to operate my system inside location settings, inside of you. Okay? Extremely, very, very, very high locations of equation and formulas today. Okay? Taking you guys out of line settings, put you back in position locations, your operation to surface, and your perception screen. There, you guys are back. So, hopefully you guys are getting a better understanding of line setting location system. Now, we get into the test. Equal line condition of the sun and set line condition system, equal line condition settings of pi. Okay? So it's all calculated and modify into a 24,000 line stream in set location setting and direct signals in set location system. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 set locations. That's what the test review and evaluation is on, right? You guys are in direct signal. Hopefully you guys are prepared, right? Tomorrow's the test. Oh no. Did I study? Right? So studying is already done. It's not a test. It's a will of what you already know. Okay? So don't worry about what the test is. Okay? Understand that communication to a set position, location, operation, stream location settings, and that setting interference. So in that track lines of its interference location and its positions, we center its calculation setting and direct signal to understand how to use the test, review, and the evaluation to set locations. What the sun means to me in all of space and time through pi. Okay? But that's what's on set location setting and direct signals. Okay? Any questions or comments? Let me know. You guys are doing fantastic. So, clean debris. Yep. Mm-hmm. Getting it prepared of what's going on with the set location system, right? It's all through factors of pi calculations. Measure. Measure is everything. Scale is everything. Balance is everything. Yin and yang. That's the process that you have to balance. The most powerful thing for you to balance is your emotional systems. Okay? Because if your emotional system is not balanced, you're off track locations into energy light signature patterns into your thought direction location system. Right? Because everything you send out affects your system, emotional track locations. Okay? Yeah, it's amazing what you just set up, Chris. And when you set these things up, you really understand how it works in all ways and forms in set location system. All right. All right. Talk to you soon. Adios.